Hello, as part of a theory and evaluation of e-learning module that I'm doing for my MSc, as part of that module we had to talk about online communities, e-learning theories, critical theories, and some other pedagogical theories. And as part of that learning process, after the first day of school, we set up an online Yammer group so we could discuss and share our thoughts, feelings, new ideas, new perspectives on these theories. So in front of me, I'm just showing you the Yammer group that we've created from the beginning. As you can see, there's quite a lot of discussions there which I'll not go through. So this video will briefly discuss some areas that I'll bring to your attention. So yeah, after the first day of school we created a Yammer group and then started talking about things that were introduced to us after that day. One of which was we talked about ground rules and what we expected everyone to say and do, if you like, in the online environment. So on this next page here I've got these are some rights and responsibilities that we agreed as a group. Very minimal. Some notes were taken over the day, but obviously they were uploaded, which could have resulted in something I might bring up later on. But these are the basic parts, if you like, and I just added that contribution at the bottom. All ideas are valid but supported appropriately. So looking back, that could, maybe have been a little bit more deeper, so people could reflect back on that and know exactly what meant to do in this environment. Also, on the first day of school, we got introduced to a couple of days before we actually met up with everyone. We had to complete this online activity within this questionnaire, which is quite similar to what you might have when you go to a gym, before you start using equipment, sort of thing. So this wasn't the actual example, but very much similar. So I'm not going through all questions, but just show you some. So we all answered this, how likely we were going to carry out these tasks online. So for example, liking other people's comments, contributing our own thoughts and module as it unfolds. So it's quite specific on what behaviours we would actually do once we're in that online environment. So it's quite detailed and there's quite a lot there to go through. And after that, here's the score that we got shown on the first day of school. So we did that outside classroom, if you like, and talked about this inside classroom. So as you can see, I'll not go through them all, but obviously between 4 and 5 were really low. As you can see, there's not that many there in terms of answering the questions on how we would actually, like I said, behave. So throughout this video, I'll talk about how that obviously changed or why things might have happened or not happened. So I'll go through that in a little bit more detail as we go along. In terms of Yaki's theory of interactivity, which we got introduced to and we discussed on Yammer, this is what it kind of all comes down to, if you like. So basically, just a little brief introduction to it. Yaki's theory of interactivity is individuals' messages going from them back to another person and back to them again in some sort of loop. It's a message loop. So obviously other mechanics within there, but also the messages have got to be mutually coherent to each other. Which is interesting, which I've got in front of me, where Yaki's obviously just describing this a little bit further. He's saying here there must be some relationship between an entity's message and response back to that originating entity. So I'm just talk briefly about this. So what were happening, for example, in on Yammer, people were discussing new ideas, perspectives, responding with their own practices and their own context. So there were relationships going on there. People were sharing or saying either they agree to that or we don't agree or we don't see the relevancy of that sort of material. So so the relationship was there. So to reinforce interactivity, I'll just bring up an example from one of the early stages. So where one of the participants brought about, the medium is the message that we talked about at day school, and then everyone seemed to have contributed, even myself, and sharing links and resources, and now share some reflective stuff there from my personal blog, and some other material there, comments from a tutor. So that was obviously an example of that message loop. Someone put a message out, someone got responded, so that fulfilled the circle loop. So as you can appreciate, with just like physical learning environments, some people may probably like over-contribute, quite dominate conversations. People could lurk where they're looking, but actually not participating. Some messages could be too short, too long, and what's most interesting is that the time people take to respond to messages, but possibly that's because it's asynchronous, so that meaning that it's not happening at the real time. So if people are not actively in that moment, then people are responding at different times or when a time suits them better. So just going back to Yaki's interactivity theory, as you would expect with online communities, it may go a little bit quiet at times. So halfway through, briefly go back to the beginning, so everybody were like quite on a high, if you like, because it's new technology for some people. They were talking, sharing, some more than others. Then halfway through, because it was over the space of a month, as such, it started to go a little bit quiet, and I believe this were down to obviously down to asynchronous part of it, where people were getting quite busy in their personal lives maybe, and that message lag, if you like, was increasing. So which resulted in probably some members in just trying to keep that conversation going, which could have appeared probably dominating, but that had obviously benefits for some people, meaning myself, because I felt like there was still someone there, and I felt like I was riding a bit of a wake of a comet, if you like, because they were contributing really good to a lot of material, and I found it useful that kind of coming behind them and contributing my stuff. They were quite proactive in giving me feedback, so it was quite a good educational experience for myself. And possibly as a result of that over dominance, it might have probably switched some people off from thinking, well, they might not have been able to participate, for example, and might have just felt like they might not be able to participate as much as they'd have liked. So probably that affected the relationship, that mutual coherence relationship that Yaki talks about. Obviously, that relationship was starting to, break, if you like. So the message loop was broken. Therefore, that communication and interaction wasn't happening. So that's why I also went quiet, and then little interaction was happening between in the community. Right. So in terms of Garrison's theory of community inquiry, which is one of the contributions I put into our online community. On my portfolio, it's obviously more in detail of contributions are made, but to draw attention to one of these I put in regarding to e-tutoring, which I researched on a previous module. So I said that time and accessing, visiting contributions and interpreting them before responding. So I just take a lot of time to think about what you're going to say, but it's also good because you're thinking about what you're saying and something that's substantial and not something too brief or too long. You're thinking about that, but it does take time. Sometimes there's lack of empathy and personal involvement. That can be from both probably learner side of things or tutor side of things. So that's got to be thought about. Think about people's feelings and interpretations, and how you respond to those. The expectation of leaving learners to it. I suppose that's where the tutor ran the online environment, and it actually worked because it was quite like a freestyle, if you like, and I thought that was a good benefit to myself, especially at the beginning, because I could direct the conversations where I wanted to. So if I want to know about a particular field a little bit more, I'll ask questions, or I'll contribute to other conversations. So I was getting out of that community what I needed and wanted. So, but I suppose that comes with some negatives really. That I might have appeared over dominant, or I could have assumed a role that I didn't want to assume. But obviously other people were responding to my queries and they were creating new ones, so I think that stimulated and moved forward the community, if you like. And I felt like I were achieving, if you like, the self-actualization of Maslow's hierarchy, because obviously I wanted to make a good effort with building this community up and sharing my knowledge and getting other people's knowledge. So I felt like I was moving up that pyramid, if you like. And obviously the battle with the synchronous and asynchronous. It's synchronous meaning that it's real time, it's happening now, and asynchronous is not happening in that moment or right now. So yeah, you're going to get different responses from a live discussion than one that's just kind of rolling on the side throughout this module. So alongside Garrison's theory, suggested for e-tutors, or it could be for learners as well, but managing most of the discourse, meaning the communication of it, which we've just talked about, it takes time in managing that and encouraging people. Sustaining encouragement demands serious commitment. Again, the time in that. Quality contributions require discourse to be focused and productive. So yeah, that's down to the role of a tutor to just direct it a little bit more than learning. Well, like I said before, expecting learners just to be left to it, kind of thing. But that's got some pros and cons to it, I suppose. You want a bit of freedom in there. Awareness of cognitive and social presence. So I think as a tutor, obviously you've got to be aware of that. Is learning occurring, kind of thing. And people making relationships. But also from a learning point of view, that's good because you're thinking about things and you're absorbing, you are learning. And obviously the social presence, people are interacting with each other just as you would expect in the classroom. So it's good for that. And timing of responses to be carefully considered. So that could be from a tutor's point of view where you might not be available all the time, so you can just timetable where you would actually contribute and look at the conversations that's happening in this community. Right, so after that little brief introduction to this activity and online community, some recommendations I would probably think, to me, come back to obviously e-tutoring. So firstly would be assign roles that would help people to link to others directly rather than just leaving them to it. So everyone's having a fair chance at talking and discussing something and sharing something. But alongside that, then people are not always going to be available at that time to contribute, or it could be weeks or days, weeks later before someone gets around to it. So you've got to think about that, but it just gives a bit of a fairer chance of contributing. Setting firm ground rules would be another one. Getting them sorted out and discussing all the expectations before obviously moving on online environment and ensuring that everyone's going to participate. But you will get people that won't participate, but it's good just to get out there openly, which wasn't done on a day of school, but obviously things need to be discussed again, probably on the second day of school, and reiterate the ground rules as such. There's obviously positives and negatives of using online communities, and I've already touched on very, very briefly everything that happened. But I have discussed this on my portfolio, which is in front of me. So do look at that for a little bit more further detail on what we discussed and the theories I introduced that could help make these environments better, and plus other experiences I thought and felt during the time online. So please check that out as well. And thank you for listening. It's a very rough and ready video, but hopefully it just give you a sense of what happened and the thoughts and feelings behind it, as well as some theories that might be useful to yourself or in your practice. So thank you.